Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Joe Jaguar, and today we're going to be talking about what is a good starter telescope. And I have one right beside me, which is probably one of the most common ones that people will buy as a beginner. Like my shirt there? Trust me, I'm a doctor. Yeah, I had another shirt too, Drummers Do It in Rhythm. I don't have to explain that to you. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Yeah, a lot of people, when I look at used telescope astronomy sites, you always see, I don't know, for me, TGG, I call it TG for short, so it doesn't sound like I'm stuttering. Let Go is a new site, a couple years. It's only been around now. And other sites, I probably look once a day at least. Most of the time, I would say 90% and more, you see all these type of telescopes where um, says have absolutely no clue if all the parts are there, no clue if it's working. They're just cheap made telescopes, and I think a lot of the times people get frustrated. They can't use, or they don't know how to use it. They can't use it, sometimes, and they don't know what to find out there. So I think one of the biggest problems are people are buying the wrong telescopes from the wrong places, or maybe a bit of both too. They're not educated enough to know what is a good one, what is one that's garbage or trash, or I don't know. So I'll give you an example. Actually, I'm going to give you two examples. One is recent, and one was, from the 90s. So let's start with the older one. Back, when I was working in the part-time telescope store type of thing in the 90s there, the most common, one of the best-selling telescopes, and we're just going to talk about Meade, but there's a lot of good other companies out there that make decent ones. But the Meade 4500 series, which was a 4.5-inch reflecting telescope. It was a longer version. This guy is a 5-inch f8, but it's a compact version. Anyway, the Meade was the model 4500. It was a 4.5-inch f8, so it's pretty long, and it came on an EQ2. Now back then it was about $399 at a real scope store, that type of thing. Now there, places like the big box stores, warehouse stores, or those type of. I don't really want to name any, you know, but or those places where you have to use a membership card, to get in. You guys know what I'm talking about. Would have, what they would do is call up the manufacturer and say, listen, we want a telescope for beginners, because they don't have, semi-professionals, professionals, or even intermediate people going into their places and buying, expensive stuff. So what they do is they go to the manufacturer and say, we want a scope in this price range, maybe 50 bucks to 199. That's what they want. But if you go to the real telescope store, they won't even have anything in that price range. You're lucky, I would say, I mean, they might have a couple entry-level models, but those are, good for a few things, and then after that, but most telescope stores, $300 you're talking about is the basic stuff, and then it'll go on up till thousands. So anyway, so the Meade 4500 at a telescope store would probably be, at that time, was $399 Canadian before tax. So these box stores, warehouse stores, and membership stores, they would ask for, we want something in about 199. So what Meade, as an example, would do is they gave the same telescope. So when we say telescope, we mean this part, the OTA. That's what is really, when people say telescope, is that. This one's a reflector, but it's the same with a refractor or a compound like a SCT, Schmidt-Cassegrain. When we usually say telescope, it's usually that part, where the other part, the mount and tripod, are separate. They're not really considered part of it, if you want to be specific. Anyway, so Meade made a model called the 4550. So it's not the 4500, it's the 4550. They sold that to those big box stores, warehouse stores, membership stores. So the scope was the same, but a lot of times the accessories was garbage. Like the real store would have a better 6x30 finder, where those other places had 5x24 finder. Those finders, you know, the 5x24 finder is basically garbage. The only thing you're gonna use it for is the moon, and then after that, it's useless. Um, those warehouse stores, um, the company would send them .965 focuser eyepieces and Barlows, so you're getting 3-4 eyepieces, a Barlow, sometimes an erect image prism thing. It's basically all that stuff is garbage. The scope is good, but everything else is just so inferior, you can't even use it. Only the moon is going to be okay, everything else is just going to be, you're not going to see anything good. So that's one example. So you get what you pay for. Another one, my next example is just like a month ago. So I bought this guy from a Canadian dealer in Canada. This cost $239 before tax, $270 with tax. Now this is a 5-inch reflector, which is a good start. The 4.5-inch was actually geared for the serious beginner, so a 5-inch is even a little bit bigger than that. So again, geared for the serious beginner that doesn't want little junk views, or they want some proper views. Comes on an EQ2. It's a manual mount. However, you could put a motor drive later on, single axis with like a 9-volt battery, and it'll track as the planets move. You can get slightly better hand control, or one with a hand control as well. Okay, anyway, so just like a month ago, I was looking at Amazon, and they had Celestron version. Now, nothing wrong with Meade, Celestron, Skywatcher. There's lots of good brands out there. But anyway, I just saw, it said the most popular seller, and it was, again, Celestron's version of the 127, same short tube version, 5-inch, but the price was 179 Canadian before tax. So most people will look at that and it's like, whoa, that's a great buy, and they'll probably buy that. However, I knowing what's better, I took a look at it, and the biggest thing is the EQ mount was an EQ1. Now for you new people out there, EQ1 is the most basic, or the most smallest mount. It goes by numbers. EQ1, EQ2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 8, except for some reason there's no 7. But anyway, you get the idea. So it came with the EQ1. Now, an EQ1 is not, it's not rated for this size scope. Maybe a 60 millimeter or 70 millimeter refractor, something small, a reflector, 3-inch, the 4.5-inch used to come with an EQ1 if it's a short tube. If it's a long tube, it's already going to be taxing, which means, what do I mean by that? I mean, if there's even a slight wind in something, well, this big, the 5-inch, even the 4.5-inch, if it's a longer version, the slightest wind is just going to wobble. It's going to move. It's not going to be steady. But anyway, in that price range, it came with EQ1. Difference in EQ1 to EQ2 is probably 50, 60 bucks at least, maybe slightly more. It came with a really bad 5x24 finder. As I said 5 minutes ago, those were from the 80s, and they're almost garbage. There's no point even, if you see a scope with a 5x24 finder, just skip that ad. Don't even buy it. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to have to buy a proper finder too. And then it came with 1.25" eyepieces, 1.25" focuser. So that part's okay, but again, the eyepieces weren't that great. Now I can't really tell what they are on there. Hopefully they're not Huygens eyepieces. Now this guy comes with a red dot finder scope, and it's actually not bad. I actually checked it out. Now I got a Celestron SE, which is a go-to single fork arm. It's an orange one. This finder red dot finder is actually better than that one. So it comes with a red dot finder, which is going to be much better to find stuff out there. It also comes with, let's talk about this guy, a Meade MA26. Now this is not the greatest eyepieces, but at least it's, I think, decent for this price range. It comes with a 26 1/4 inch, a 9 and a 6.3, and even an 1 1/4 inch Barlow. So these are actually decent accessories for this price range to get started, and it might be all you need. Also comes with slow motion controls. Like I said, the one that I seen on Amazon, that finder, by the time you replace it and buy a finder like this, 20 to 30 bucks minimum. By the time you upgrade those cheaper eyepieces to better eyepieces, you're looking at $30, $40 each. And then not to mention the mount was an EQ1. So that's why you're getting it for $179 versus $239. It's not that big of a difference. So you new people, just do your research, look at the difference. Maybe, I mean, with the age of the internet, you can ask all kinds of questions. There's lots of people on YouTube like myself teaching you guys what is good, what is bad. So hopefully this helps you. Get a scope like this. It doesn't matter if it's Meade, Celestron, or Skywatcher. All three make good quality ones as long as you know. 5x24 finder, garbage. Don't even buy it. Even if it comes with a 6x30, it's better. That was like in the 80s and 90s, had that on the better scopes, but it's still not the greatest either. It's outdated, older technology. Get a good red dot finder. I think for most people would be fine. Make sure it doesn't come with 0.965 focuser or eyepieces. If it does, don't even buy it. If it does come with an 1 1/4 inch focuser and eyepieces, again, watch out if it has a name Huygens or Hygens. Don't even buy it. Those are the most cheapest of the 1 1/4 inch format. Is it better than the smaller 0.965? Yes. But it's still the bottom of the line 1 1/4 inch. Don't even buy it. Just buy something that comes with something ready to go. It might be $50 more. It's going to have a slightly bigger mount, better eyepieces, better finder. Now, this guy again, $270 with tax in, shipped Canadian. It's a pretty good. It's a very good start for most people. Maybe this is all you're going to need. If you want, I mean, if you live in the city and then you want to see more deep sky objects, and your budget allows, you can go to the 6-inch f5. But once you get beyond this size and you go to the 6-inch, it needs an EQ3. You can't even do it on the EQ2 then. So as you go up, your mount gets bigger, the mirror is better, maybe it comes with a 2-inch focuser. So, because a 6-inch f5, you know, that type, you're probably looking at then the $600 to $700 range. This guy, $300, is probably where brand new people are going to be starting off. So this is a very good start, which would be, you know, good. If you're talking about refractors, okay, which is, you know, what people consider the long scopes that normally when you hear of a telescope, that's what you think of. Don't even bother with the 60 millimeter. It's just too small. Anything below 60 millimeter basically is, again, garbage or toys. It's not even worth it. I would even say even the 70 millimeter, I'm on the fence. If you can, get 80 millimeter if it's a refractor, and I'm not talking about the expensive, you know, Apple Chromatics or anything like that. I'm just talking about a regular doublet, you know, achromat. 80 millimeter is where I would consider, you know, to be the start. If you can go to 90 millimeter or 100 millimeter, even better. But beyond the 90 millimeter, it starts to become expensive. So a 90 millimeter on an EQ2, like this mount, with same accessories, probably is going to be $390, you know, $400 plus tax. So that's probably again where most new people are going to be looking, the 80, 90 millimeter. Of course, beyond that, the 4-inch is probably going to take you to the 500 minimum and up. That, you know, depends on your budget, but I would say for the most general population. 4.5 inches is a good start. If you can get into this model at the $300 price range, great. If you want a refractor, because you don't want to be, you know, you don't want to collimate the lens, you know, the mirrors in these and worry about that. Refractor's fine. Start with an 80 millimeter. If you can do 90 or 100 millimeter, that's a good start. You could do an EQ2, but because they're longer, some people might want an EQ3. Of course, then you got to pay a little bit more for a little bit bigger mount. So hopefully that helps you guys. That is very important. It doesn't really matter. A lot of times you'll see the same size scope in these big box stores, warehouse stores, membership stores. It's the same one, but the accessories is all cheapened out to save money. And if you're going to go that way, you're going to get frustrated. You're not going to be able to use those accessories. I mean, it's hard enough finding the planets in the sky, the constellations and stuff. That's already hard enough. Some people use their phone now. They have an app. I still like the old way, which you buy the book called Night Watch. That's a great book by a planisphere. Because what's good about that, the planisphere is it's daylight now, but I could actually put it to the time like tonight, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., see how the sky is going to look. I can move it on till 11, 12 o'clock. So that's what's good about a planisphere. And you never have to worry about power, losing connection, Wi-Fi, whatever. So I think I like the old way better. But if you like the tech way, nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, get a proper scope, get the proper accessories, because it's already hard enough finding these objects. Then you have to learn, you know, how to mount it, how to use it, how to pull or align it. There's a lot of stuff you got to learn. So it's already hard enough. And if you have inferior quality items on your scope, it's, I think, why 90% of the population who buy these things give up and just resell it. It's just, they can't do it. So again, start off good. It's not much more to get the proper stuff, you know, another 50, 60 bucks, and you get the better accessories. So just do it right the first time, and it'll be easier when you have, you know, especially with the finder scope. Don't sell yourself short on it, because if with these type of things, it projects like almost like a laser pointer. It's not really a laser pointer, but it projects like a dot on there, and you can actually see where you're pointing. And if you can find stuff easier, you're not going to be frustrated as much. So finder scope is very important. A lot of people don't think it is, but if you can't find what you're looking for, and you're spending a half an hour, you're probably not going to last long in the hobby. I personally like even a better finder. I like the Rigel and the Telrad. Of course, those are 60 to 70, almost $80 finder scopes. I don't think brand new people need that. Just maybe a decent red dot finder scope is good enough, so you can actually find your objects in your main scope. Good quality 1 1/4 eyepieces. If it comes with a Barlow, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. And there you go. Hopefully this helps some of you guys out. Don't cheapen out with the accessories. It's kind of like a half and half system. The telescope is the one half, the accessories is the other half. There's no point having a good telescope with cheap accessories. It's not going to work. And the same the other way around. If I had a telescope here like $300, I would not be putting $600 accessories on top of it. You might as well just buy a better telescope then. So I like to even it out. I think the accessories that come with this guy is good enough. The MAs, the Colossals is good enough for something in this price range. See if you like it. If you like what you see after, then maybe you can upgrade to something bigger. If it's enough for what you need, then you've done it right the first time, and you're good to go. So again, guys, buy right. There's lots of information on the internet now. You can Google stuff. It's so easy to find what's good, what's not out there. Hopefully you found my video educating. And that's it. I'll see you on my next clip. Bye.